The sun was soft that morning on the colony planet of Varel 7. The sky had 2 moons and the wind smelled like flowers and fresh metal. Ethan, a human engineer, stood outside his workshop fixing a broken drone. His hands were dirty with oil, but his eyes kept looking at the hill. He was waiting. Then he saw her, Arya. She walked down the hill slowly, her long silver hair glowing in the light, her soft blue skin shining like the morning sky. She smiled when she saw him, the smile that made his chest feel warm every time. Her glowing blue eyes always looked calm like water. "Your drone still broken?" she asked in her soft voice. "Not anymore," Ethan said with a grin. "I was just waiting for you to tell it what to do." Arya laughed and the sound danced in the air like music. They sat together under the shade of a metal roof. He handed her a small box. Inside was a necklace made of old ship wires and small star stones. "It's not perfect," Ethan said, looking down, "but it's from Earth." Arya touched it gently. "It's beautiful," she whispered. They didn't say much after that. They didn't have to. They just sat close, letting the silence speak. Ethan had arrived on Varel 7 2 years ago, broken from a past war, tired of Earth's noise and pain. He had come here to forget everything, but instead he found someone to remember. Arya. No one knew where she came from. Even she didn't know. She was found as a child in a crashed ship. The locals raised her. She was kind, quiet, and never hurt anyone. And somehow Ethan had fallen in love with her. That night, as stars filled the sky, Ethan cooked a small meal over a fire. Arya told stories about dreams. She often dreamed of floating cities and voices calling her name. Ethan joked that maybe she was an alien princess. Arya smiled, but her smile seemed sad. Later, as they watched the moons rise, she leaned her head on his shoulder. "I wish time could stop," she said softly. "Right now, like this, forever." Ethan turned to her. "Then let's stay like this. Let's never leave." But time didn't stop. It never does. The next day, everything changed. It started with a sound in the sky, a loud, deep hum, like a storm made of machines. Ethan ran outside and looked up. 3 massive ships were coming down from the clouds, dark and sharp like knives in the sky. People screamed. Alarms rang. Soldiers with black armor and glowing red eyes marched through the town. They weren't from the colony. No one had ever seen anything like them. Ethan grabbed Arya's hand and pulled her into his workshop, locking the door. "Who are they?" he asked. Arya's face turned pale. "I think they're here for me." Before he could ask more, the door exploded. The soldiers came in. Ethan fought them. He used tools, metal bars, anything he could grab. But they were strong, too strong. He fell to the ground, his face bloody. One soldier lifted Arya by the arm. She didn't scream. She just looked at Ethan, her eyes full of pain. "Let her go," Ethan shouted, crawling forward. But one soldier kicked him back. Another shocked him with a dark stick. His vision blurred. Arya looked at him one last time. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice shaking. Then they took her, out of the building, into the ship, and then the ships rose into the sky and disappeared beyond the stars. Ethan lay on the ground, his body broken, his heart shattered. The colony was silent again. The moons kept glowing. But Arya was gone. For 3 days, Ethan didn't eat. He didn't sleep. He just sat in his broken workshop, staring at the empty chair where Arya used to sit. Every corner reminded him of her. Her soft laugh, her quiet voice, her eyes that held the stars. She was gone now. Taken. And no one believed him. The colony leaders called him sick. Hallucination, they said. Alien dreams. They checked all records. No ID, no name, no trace of Arya's existence. It was like she never lived. But Ethan remembered everything. He touched the necklace she once wore, made from earth metal and stardust. She left it behind on purpose, maybe as a sign. "I know you're real," Ethan whispered. "I'll find you, but how?" The galaxy was big, too big for a single man to search. Still, he tried. He went from planet to planet, station to station, trading parts, fixing machines just to survive. At every stop he asked the same question. "Have you seen her?" Blue skin, glowing eyes, silver hair. Most people laughed. Until one day at a dirty fuel station floating near the asteroid belt, a wrinkled old smuggler raised an eyebrow. His name was Torque, half machine, half man. "You're either in love or out of your mind." Torque said. Maybe both, Ethan replied. Torque pulled out a hologram map and pointed to a place beyond the edge. The Lost Quadrant, he said. No charts, no laws. Just rumors and ghosts. Some say alien collectors live there, stealing rare species, hiding them in floating zoos. Ethan's heart raced. Could she be there? Maybe, Torque said. But the journey's cursed. Ships vanish. Fuel burns too fast. No one returns. I don't care, Ethan said. I'm going. Torque laughed, then went silent. After a long pause, he pointed to a dark corner of the station. I have an old ship. She's broken, ugly, and hungry for parts, but she flies. Ethan traded everything he owned for it, tools, memories, and even his old ring from Earth. It hurt, but nothing mattered more than finding Arya. He named the ship Hope Runner. The ship coughed when it started. It shook like a dying bird, but it moved. Ethan flew out of known space, past satellites, past patrol zones, into the dark sea of stars no map dared touch. Days turned into weeks. He saw strange things in the dark, floating lights with no source. Giant silent beasts drifting past him, voices whispering in languages he didn't understand. His food ran low. He got sick. But he didn't stop. Then one night the ship's alarm screamed a space storm, wild energy tearing the sky apart. The Hope Runner shook violently. Sparks flew from every wall. The control screen cracked. Ethan gripped the wheel. Hold together, girl. Just hold a little more. The ship flew blind through lightning made of stars, and then silence. He had passed through, but something had changed. His ship floated into a new space. Calm, cold, and empty. A giant graveyard of broken ships surrounded him. This was it, the Lost Quadrant. He powered down the ship to avoid being seen. Hours passed. Then he picked up a signal, a weak pulse. Hidden in the code was something strange, a melody, familiar. He followed the signal to a small icy moon, landing carefully. Snow blew across metal ruins. There, buried under wreckage, was a stasis pod. Ethan dug with his bare hands, his fingers bleeding when he wiped the ice from the glass. His breath stopped. It wasn't Arya, but inside the pod was a small alien girl with Arya's necklace in her. Handa, she was barely alive, Ethan powered the pod and kept her warm. Hours later, the girl opened her eyes. She was too weak to speak, but she pressed the necklace into his palm. Ethan held it close to his chest. It was hers. She was real. Still alive. And now, he had a direction. Ethan's hands shook as he held the necklace. It was Arya's, no doubt. The small alien girl had passed out again in the stasis pod. She was weak, thin, and scared. Her skin was pale blue, just like Arya's, but she was too young to be her. But she knew Arya. She had seen her. She had touched her. That was enough for Ethan. He took a deep breath and opened the ship's maps. Most of it was blank. The Hope Runner system blinked with warnings. Fuel was low, engines damaged, and the navigation core was freezing. But Ethan didn't care. He had a new direction. A strange signal buried inside the pod's memory. A voice message. Glitched and broken. Just 3 words survived. Zeroth, gate, trade. Ethan didn't understand it. But the ship's AI marked a faint point in space, almost erased. Zeroth gate, maybe a station, maybe a black market, maybe a trap. He smiled bitterly. Sounds perfect. 2 days later, he flew through a cluster of dead stars. Everything was quiet, too quiet. Then alarm screamed. Trap. Something huge uncloaked behind him. A pirate ship. Black and wide, shaped like a beast with jaws. Unregistered traveler in forbidden space, a cold voice said through the radio. Prepare to be boarded. Ethan didn't answer. He hit the boosters. The Hope Runner groaned but pushed forward. The pirate ship chased him, firing hot plasma. One shot hit the left wing. Flames burst out. He spun the ship and dove into a space storm. A violent gas cloud filled with lightning and magnetic fields. The pirate ship hesitated at the edge. Ethan didn't. Inside the storm, everything turned red and orange. Static burned the walls. Controls shook. Ethan grabbed wires with bare hands, tied broken circuits with his teeth clenched. The ship barely made it through. He landed on a floating junk moon to fix his engine. The place was full of trash. Old satellites, ship pieces, dead robots. While searching for parts, he heard a sound, a cry. A small creature was stuck under a fallen metal door. Ethan pulled it out. It was a robot. Not big, not strong, but its eyes blinked like it had feelings. Name? Ethan asked. The robot buzzed. Designation, Luma. Translation, AI. Last mission, voice recovery. Voice recovery? He plugged it into the pod system. Luma blinked. Searching memory fragment. Voice match subject Arya. Location, Zeroth 9, detainment. Ethan froze. Zeroth 9. Now he had a name, a place, a destination. He set course immediately, but Zeroth 9 was far, on the edge of a dying star system. And to reach it, he had to pass through a broken warp tunnel full of traps, pirates, and abandoned machines. They called it the Bone Spiral. Ethan had no choice. Inside the Bone Spiral, time bent. Things floated that didn't move. Space twisted in circles. Old ships with missing crews drifted silent. One ship looked fresh. He connected, no life signs, but something moved inside. He boarded it anyway, searching for fuel. Inside was cold and silent. The walls were covered in red writing, like warnings or maybe prayers. In the control room, he found a fuel cell and something else. A photo of Arya, not a drawing. A real image. She was behind bars, eyes closed, floating in a stasis field. Below the photo was a word. Auctioned. Ethan's heart cracked. She had been sold, but she was still alive. He took the fuel, ran back to his ship, and blasted off, barely escaping when the ghost ship exploded behind him. Back in his ship, Luma translated the red writing. It said, Zeroth 9 is not a prison. It is a collection. Do not come looking for what's been taken. The price will be your soul, Ethan whispered. Then I'll pay it. 1 week later, with the last drop of fuel, Hope Runner reached the system. In the dark space above a cold black moon, a giant silver ring floated. Zeroth 9. There were no windows, no doors, just a small signal, one word blinking again and again. Trade. He opened the channel. A voice answered. Not male, not female, not human. You have arrived with the wrong heart. Love is not currency here, Ethan answered calmly. Then I'll pay with my life. The galaxy around Zeroth 9 looked dead. No stars, no sound, only silence. Ethan stared through the cracked window of his ship as it drifted toward the giant silver ring, the Zeroth 9 station. It floated above a black moon like a ghost that refused to die. The ring had no lights, no engines, and yet it moved slowly on its own, glowing faintly with blue runes. He didn't know if it was alive or just pretending to be. Luma, he said to the small robot beside him. Are you sure she's here? Luma's tiny lights flickered. Signal match. 98%. Subject Arya, active life signs. But very weak. Ethan's heart started to pound. Then she's still alive. The station's voice spoke again through static, cold and distant. Welcome, unregistered traveler. What will you trade? Ethan took a deep breath. Information, he said. And blood, if I must. There was a pause. Accepted. Dock at Port 09, and remember, everything has a price. The ring opened, a single glowing doorway of light. The Hope Runner floated in. Inside was not metal, not machines. It was alive. The walls looked like silver veins, pulsing softly. The air smelled like dust and old flowers. Strange creatures moved in silence, tall, thin beings wrapped in long robes. Their faces were hidden behind smooth white masks. They didn't speak. They only watched. Ethan stepped out carefully, his boots echoing. Luma hovered near his shoulder, recording everything. Be ready, Ethan whispered. The corridor led to a vast hall filled with cages. Hundreds of cages. Inside each one were beings from across galaxies. Aliens, machines, hybrids, even humans. Some looked asleep, others awake but hopeless. The walls shimmered with energy, holding them in place. Ethan's throat tightened. What is this place? Luma beeped. Zeroth 9, Intergalactic Collector's Market. Rare life forms traded for knowledge, power, and immortality. He gritted his teeth. Then she's one of their trophies. A robed guard stepped in front of him. Its voice was metallic and smooth. State the value of your trade. I'm not here to trade, Ethan said. I'm here to take someone back. The guard tilted its head. No one leaves Zeroth 9. Ethan's hand went to his belt, his only weapon a small plasma cutter. Then I'll rewrite that rule. Before the guard could react, Ethan used the cutter to slice through its staff. Sparks flew. The guard staggered, but others began to move toward him slowly, almost calmly, as if they knew he couldn't win. Ethan ran. He turned corner after corner, following the signal blinking on Luma's small screen. Left, Luma beeped. Level 4, prison section Gamma. Ethan dashed down a spiral staircase made of crystal light. His boots clanged on every step. Behind him, the guards whispered in a language he didn't understand, their voices echoing through the halls. He reached a large circular room. In the center, suspended in a glowing cube, was Arya. She was floating, her eyes closed, her hair flowing like silver mist. Thin light cables wrapped around her arms and chest. Ethan ran to the control panel, pressing every button, every switch. Come on, the system asked. What will you give for the prisoner? Ethan shouted, everything! But the machine didn't open. It scanned him and replied, not enough value. Offer more. He slammed his fists on the panel. What more can I give? Luma beeped, trembling. Warning, energy surge. Guards approaching. Ethan turned around. The robed guards filled the doorway, hundreds of them, silent and still. He took one last look at Arya, her face calm as if she was dreaming. Then a soft, broken voice came from the cube. Ethan, his heart stopped. She was awake. Don't move, he said, stepping closer to the cube. I'm getting you out. Her eyes opened slowly, glowing with faint blue light. You shouldn't have come. A guard's metallic voice cut her off. The trade is complete. She belongs to the Emperor now. Ethan froze. The Emperor? The guard nodded. Her value was too great for this place. She has been moved to the royal vessel, the Crimson Throne. He felt his stomach drop. She wasn't here anymore. He was too late again. The guards raised their staffs. Luma shouted, run! Ethan threw a smoke charge, grabbed the small robot, and jumped through a maintenance tunnel as plasma bolts tore through the air. The tunnel collapsed behind him, sealing his escape. He crawled out into the outer hull of the station, blood running down his arm. The Hope Runner waited ahead, hidden under debris. As he climbed aboard, the ship's scanners picked up a new signal, a massive moving fortress, red and gold, orbiting the dying star, the Crimson Throne. That was where Arya was now. The Crimson Throne was not a ship. It was a moving kingdom in space, bigger than a city, shaped like a crown. Red towers floated around its core like spinning blades. Gold energy pulsed along its body, humming softly like it was alive. Ethan's ship, the tiny Hope Runner, looked like a bug beside it. He stared through the glass in silence. She's in there. Luma, the small AI robot beside him, beeped nervously. This is no prison. This is the palace of a god. Ethan's jaw tightened. Then I'll sneak into a god's house and take back what he stole. There were no doors on the Crimson Throne, only one entrance, a royal gate, guarded by a fleet of drones and scanners that destroyed anything without permission. Ethan knew one thing: he couldn't enter through the front. He searched old records. Long ago, the Emperor had built the ship using ancient star beasts, giant floating creatures turned into walls and engines. Ethan found a forgotten detail. The Crimson Throne had a dead zone. A dark sector, hidden, unstable, unused. That was his way in. The Hope Runner flew quietly around the ship, staying in the shadows. At last, he reached a crack in the metal, an old vent near the lower hull, big enough to squeeze through. He suited up, grabbed Luma, and entered. Inside, it was dark and cold. No lights, no sound. Only metal and bones. Yes, bones. He moved through an old tunnel filled with remains. Skeletons of workers, guards, maybe even rebels who tried to rise. Some still held tools. Some still had weapons clutched in dead hands. This place was alive once, Ethan whispered. Then it was buried. He moved carefully. Hours passed. Finally, he reached the living part of the ship. It was beautiful and terrifying. The halls were made of glass and gold, with red carpets that glowed underfoot. Strange alien plants grew on the walls, and lights danced like stars above his head. Guards in black armor moved silently, patrolling with long energy staffs. Their eyes glowed red behind dark masks. Ethan hid behind a statue of a silver lion. Luma whispered, Arya's signal is close. She is above us. Tower level. Royal chamber. Ethan nodded. Let's go. On his way up, he passed rooms full of treasure, crystals, weapons, and even living creatures frozen in time, displayed like art. Then he saw a throne room, huge, empty, but with voices echoing. He listened. The Emperor was speaking. His voice was deep, smooth, and strange. She is awakening, the Emperor said. Her blood remembers the stars. She is not just a prisoner. She is a key. A second voice replied, should we move her? No, the Emperor said. Let her stay in her dream. Soon, she will call the Ancient Ones. Ethan felt a chill run through him. Arya wasn't just rare. She was powerful. They didn't take her by accident. They had a plan. He had to move faster. He reached the top tower, the royal chamber. Inside was soft blue light. In the center floated Arya, trapped in a sphere of energy. Her eyes were closed, her body glowing softly. Silver strands of light flowed from her into the walls. She looked peaceful but tired. Weak. Ethan ran to the panel beside her and pulled out his cutter. Don't worry, he whispered. I'm here. He began slicing the controls. Alarms blared. The energy field cracked. Arya's eyes opened, slowly. She saw him. Ethan. She whispered. Her voice was weak but real. You came. I never stopped, he said. The door behind him exploded. The Emperor stepped inside. He wore a cloak of red mist. His face was hidden behind a golden mask. His eyes glowed like stars about to explode. You broke my laws, the Emperor said calmly. For what, love? Ethan stood in front of Arya, holding the cutter like a sword. I came to take her home. The Emperor chuckled. She is home. Her true blood flows again. She belongs with the stars, not with you. I don't care about blood, Ethan said. I care about her. The Emperor raised his hand. The walls began to shake. Arya cried out. Her energy flickered. Leave, human, the Emperor said, before you see what gods can do. Ethan stepped closer to the energy field, placed his hand on it, and whispered to Arya, Fight. Wake up. Come back to me. Her eyes widened, and something changed. The energy around her cracked. Her body glowed brighter. Her voice echoed, You don't own me. The light burst, blinding everything. The chamber was glowing with wild light. The air itself trembled. Arya stood beside Ethan, no longer trapped. No longer sleeping. She was awake now, fully. And she was changing. Her hair floated like silver fire. Her skin shone brighter than stars. Symbols were glowing on her arms, ancient and alive. Her eyes, once soft and blue, were now deep and fierce like the heart of a storm. Ethan stared at her, breathless. Arya, he whispered. What? What are you? She turned to him, and for a second he saw the same gentle girl who once laughed beside him on a sunny hill. I'm still me, she said softly, but I'm also more. Behind them, the Emperor stood silent, watching. His golden mask was cracked now, a black mist swirling around him. Even he, ruler of half the galaxy, looked unsure. You were never supposed to wake, he said. You are a relic, a royal weapon. Your blood belongs to the stars, not to a human heart. Arya's voice was calm but firm. You locked me in chains to protect your throne, but I don't want your crown. The Emperor raised his hand. 1,000 red lights formed behind him. Weapons, guards, shadows. I gave you peace, he said. I gave you purpose, Arya stepped forward. You gave me a prison, the walls cracked. The tower shook. Ethan looked up, gripping Luma in one hand and his plasma cutter in the other. Arya, we have to go, now. But Arya stood still. Something in her had changed. Her memories were returning. Visions flooded her mind. Of battles she never remembered fighting, of ships she once commanded, of galaxies that bowed to her family. She was not just rare. She was royal blood, born from a race of galaxy binders. The last of her kind, and now the power inside her was awake. The Emperor spoke again. You can kill me, child, but the galaxy will hunt you forever. You cannot be both queen and free. Ethan stepped beside her. We don't want a throne. We just want to live, the Emperor laughed. Then choose. Power or peace. You can't have both. For a moment there was silence, then Arya turned to Ethan. Her voice was shaking. If I leave now, others like him will come. Again and again. They will take others. They will chain people like me forever, Ethan understood. So we stop them. But stopping him, she said, her voice breaking, might mean I never stop being what he made me. Ethan stepped closer. Then I'll stay with you, even if it means we're hunted forever. Tears glowed in her eyes. What if I change too much? What if I forget who I am? He gently took her hand. Then I'll remind you, every day, every time. Behind them, the red lights pulsed. Soldiers moved forward. The Emperor's power grew, the shadows spinning like a storm. Arya took one last breath, then she let go. Her hands lifted. The light around her grew brighter, rising from her body like a wave of stardust. Symbols on her skin glowed hot. Her voice echoed in every wall. No more chains, she said. No more stolen lives. She raised her hand and opened her palm toward the Emperor, and everything shattered. The guards vanished. The shadows screamed. The tower exploded in gold light. Ethan covered his face. Luma's system sparked. When the light cleared, the Emperor was on his knees, his mask broken. His crown fell to the floor and rolled to Arya's feet. She looked down at it, then kicked it away. I choose my own path, she said. The throne room collapsed behind them as Arya and Ethan ran. Alarms rang. Lights flickered. The whole Crimson Throne was falling apart. They reached the hangar. Ethan's ship, Hope Runner, waited, scarred but still alive. As they flew away, fire burst from the heart of the Emperor's ship. The Crimson Throne broke into pieces, disappearing into the void. Ethan stared out the window, stunned. You destroyed it. Arya sat quietly beside him. No, I freed it. Later, in the quiet of space, Ethan patched Luma's circuits while Arya watched the stars. Do you feel okay? He asked. I feel like me, she said, and that scares me. He reached for her hand. We have each other. That's all we need. Arya leaned her head on his shoulder. For once, the stars felt peaceful again. The stars looked peaceful, but they were lying. Inside the small ship Hope Runner, Ethan and Arya floated in silence. The remains of the Crimson Throne were behind them, broken, burning, forgotten. They had escaped the Emperor, but they had not escaped the galaxy's fear. A new signal appeared on the ship's screen. SOS, subject Arya escaped. Status dangerous. Orders terminate on sight. Ethan stared at it for a long time. Then he switched off the screen. Let them come, he muttered. Arya stood by the window watching the stars. Where do we go now? She asked softly. Home, Ethan said. Where we first met? Varel 7. Arya's lips curled into a small smile. The hill. The necklace. The quiet. Yes, he whispered. The life we lost. But going back wouldn't be easy. The hunters were already coming. They attacked before the ship reached safe space. 3 black warships surrounded the Hope Runner. Engines glowing red. These weren't normal patrol ships. They were silent killers built by the Empire to hunt threats before the public even knew they existed. Arya looked at Ethan. We can't outrun them. He nodded. Then we fight. The first ship fired. Ethan pulled hard on the controls. The Hope Runner twisted sideways, avoiding the shot, but just barely. The second ship launched EMP bombs. Arya raised her hands, and a soft shield of light formed around them. The bomb hit, but the shield held. She's shielding us? Ethan shouted. Arya nodded, eyes glowing. Only for a while. Luma, now fully repaired, beeped from the control panel. I have located a hypergate nearby. One jump will take us to Varel 7. Then let's reach it, Ethan said. Fast. The Hope Runner raced through asteroid fields, dodging fire. Ethan's hands flew across buttons, rerouting power from lights to thrusters. Sparks flew. The ship shook. Arya stood like a statue in the middle of the cabin, focusing. Her glow brightened as she pushed back every attack, but her body trembled. Blood dripped from her nose. Ethan saw it. You're hurting yourself. I'm fine, she said. Just keep flying. But even she had limits. One of the hunter ships got close, too close. It fired directly at the engine. The Hope Runner spun out of control. Alarms screaming, they were falling into a red storm, a swirling mass of fire and dust. Hold on. Ethan shouted. The ship crashed into the storm, shaking like it would tear apart. Flames licked the hull. The heat was unbearable. Arya collapsed. Ethan caught her in his arms. No, not now. Not after everything. She looked at him, weak but smiling. You brought me home. Now let me protect you. No, Ethan cried. We do this together. Or not at all. Luma's voice beeped. Warning. Gate opening. Jump in 30 seconds. The ship was breaking apart. One hunter followed them into the storm. It locked weapons on the Hope Runner's back. Ethan looked at Arya, who could barely lift her head. He turned to the control panel and made a choice. He rerouted all remaining power, not to weapons, not to shields, but to the jump core. No more running, he said. We finish this. The jump core powered up, glowing bright blue. The hunter ship fired its final shot. Right before the blast hit, Hope Runner disappeared into the jump. Silence. Then, peace. The ship came out on the edge of Varel 7, the same sky, the same twin moons, but the Hope Runner was finished. It sparked, coughed, and died mid-air. Ethan and Arya jumped from the escape hatch as the ship crashed gently into a soft lake. They swam to shore. Ethan coughed water, then laughed. We made it. Arya lay beside him, weak but smiling. Yes, we did. Days passed. They built a small home on the same hill where they first met. They grew food, watched stars, and lived quietly. Arya's powers faded slowly. She became normal, not weak, not royal, just free. Hunters never came. Maybe they believed she died in the fire, or maybe they were afraid, because legends were already spreading, of a man who chased the stars for love, and a star-born girl who chose peace over power. Final scene, Ethan sat outside fixing an old drone. Arya walked toward him, her silver hair braided with wildflowers. She handed him a small gift. Inside was a necklace, fixed and glowing. From Earth, she said. He smiled. And now, back where it belongs. They sat under the twin moons, holding hands. No more war. No more cages. No more thrones, just the sound of wind, stars, and home. Final line, hook for possible sequel. But far across the galaxy, something stirred. A throne forgotten, a memory reborn, and a whisper in the dark. The star bloodline must rise again.